The Ripple versus SEC lawsuit is basically over. After 4 years of speculation, uncertainty, appeals, it's done. And today, I want to get into what that's going to enable for XRP, what's about to be unlocked in terms of ETFs, partnerships, and even uncovered NDAs. And eventually get into the real question, do you own enough XRP for what is coming? So if you own XRP or just enjoy watching the videos, be sure to leave a like down below. And with that said, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so a quick reminder for every video that we make on the channel, this is not financial advice and for entertainment purposes only. Nothing in crypto is guaranteed and you could lose all of your money. Stay safe and do your own research. Now first, I want to share a way with you to keep your XRP safe. If you have 4 figures in crypto or more, it only costs $129 to protect your XRP for life. Now, why not just keep your XRP on Binance or Coinbase? Well, in 2025 alone, we have seen hacks on exchanges occur anywhere from 5 million to the billions. It's not safe. FTX was a wake-up call. This in 2025 alone should be a wake-up call for you. Now, why the decent hardware cold wallet? Well, it supports most cryptos available that are worth supporting, right? 78 plus blockchain networks and 4,500 plus tokens. And if I ask you to name me a cold wallet, your first answer is probably going to be Ledger. Comparing to Decent, Ledger is more expensive. It's more complicated in the sense that you have to enter a code every single time you need to log in. Decent has biometric authentication login with your fingerprint. It's also easier to navigate in general, right? It's similar to an old generation iPhone. There's no data breaches, there's hassle-free updates, and there's Bluetooth for ease of use. If you want a discounted cold wallet, check the links down below in the description. Moving on to the video, the case is ending, what the ruling really means for XRP. So a quick recap for everyone who is not on board. On June 27th, the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, stated they are withdrawing their cross appeal and the SEC is expected to do the same. So the case is basically over and the July 2023 ruling will now be the standard. So the court decided that XRP sold on public exchanges to everyday people is not a security, but XRP sold to institutions like investment firms is considered a security. So for the average investor and the broader market, this is the clarity that Ripple needed, where XRP can now be distributed, traded, integrated across the public financial system with no legal fog over them. So what is this going to enable the case being over and this being in place? Well, the first thing I can recognize is the ETF breakthrough we are going to see. Now, we're obviously waiting for BlackRock to file with an approval rating of 57621. They obviously have to have an advantage or an edge when they file for an ETF. Now the case will be over, there will be clarity, and there's no reason for a large asset manager to not file for an XRP ETF. And for those who are not aware, an ETF essentially means easier access for institutions, funds, and even retail investors who prefer traditional brokerage platforms. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Now, already know when it comes to Bloomberg and Polymarket, the approval rating in 2025 has fluctuated from anywhere from 70, 80, or 90%. And for approval by July 31st, we can see a jump up recently to 29%. And even a respected figure in the ETF space, Nate, states, the closed chapter on the case gets us closer to the spot XRP ETF and clears the way for BlackRock. And the fact is that most people just don't care about the ETF because of the Ethereum ETF performance, especially the initial Bitcoin ETF performance. There was a downtrend for a couple of weeks before we actually took off, mainly due to grayscale selling. So when the spot Bitcoin ETF launched in January 2024, the grayscale's GBTC converted from a closed-end trust to a spot ETF. So GBTC was discounted, then when it turned into an ETF, institutions, individuals could redeem their actual shares into BTC. And there's around $6 billion worth in outflows in the first couple of weeks. So there was obviously downturn in the price action. Fast forward to the Ethereum ETF approved in May 2024. And again, there was a massive sell-off, trying to meet demand, having to sell on open market. Well, Grayscale removed XRP from its products in 2020 after the SEC lawsuit. So we will see no GBTC style trust to convert and no large pool of XRP waiting to be redeemed or sold off. One of the only major cryptos to have this privilege. So to me, it's an asymmetric bet, and many will short XRP after the approval, which will fuel a further rally. Now, what's another thing that can happen after the case is over? It will be Ripple acquiring an exchange. Now, why would they do this? Well, they will have full control over the on ramps, liquidity, compliance framework, and what exchange might it be? Well, we can see that it could be Uphold for quite a few reasons. The first reason being they want to sell. So they've been looking to get acquired or go public, so they're definitely open. And we can also see that they backed XRP early, listing XRP during the lawsuit, which is in favor of the XRP community, but more importantly, Ripple. Also making XRP useful, working on debit cards and earning yield through Flare. Also controlling everything, owning an exchange, as we just said. And finally, the bigger picture at play, owning an exchange could let them launch permission dexes and grow XRP's reach faster. So far we've seen the acquisition of Metico, we've seen the acquisition of Hidden Road and Standard Custody. The exchange of Uphold could be next. So it's less about acquiring exchange to bypass securities law, selling XRP as a commodity, more having control over how XRP is distributed. We could also see once the case is over, NDAs being unrevealed. As we know, there is about 1,700 of them. And this was drawn from the legal filings during the SEC case against Ripple from 2013 to 2020. Like, that's 7 years. What about 2020 to 2025? Remember, this has also been in development. They're awaiting the green light. Once the case is over, once we have that clarity, we should see many announcements in place from the world's largest financial institutions, banks, governments, and so on. Remember, Arthur Britto, not as mysterious as Satoshi, but definitely on that same sort of wavelength. No interviews, no information, no pictures, breaks his silence with just an emoji, then the case is effectively over. NDAs also are possible. We also have a meeting coming up, a closed meeting, and it may be the first one that is not a nothing burger. But obviously on the 27th, Ripple withdrew their cross appeal and they're waiting on the SEC to vote to drop their appeal for everything to be finalized. And this is the next chance that they get, July 3rd, at this closed meeting. Right? Former SEC lawyers have stated that there's nothing else for the courts to do, just for the SEC to drop their appeal for everything to be finalized. So this really could be the final day, July 3rd. Pay attention for that. And finally, the $1,000,000 question that we have in the video: do you hold enough XRP for the case ending? Now, if you're a regular viewer on the channel, you will know I'm not going to give you a specific amount of XRP, like 5,000. If you do not hold 5,000 XRP, you're not going to make it. Obviously not. As you can see in the thumbnail, I have ticks on various amounts ranging from 1,000 to 100,000 XRP. Because the amount of XRP that you need is very specific to you, how much money you have to invest into the market, or how long you've been investing in XRP, whether you've been accumulating during the bear from 30 to 40 cents, or you just arrived at $2 per XRP. What most people do not understand is where they are and where they need to be in terms of XRP, and that's where the rich list can guide you. If you're in the top 10%, the next level you should be aiming for is the top 5%. So for example, if you hold 2,400 XRP, you're in the top 10%. Your next goal is 8,700 XRP in the top 5%. Look at where you are and where you need to be. So you set a DCA method over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, years, how long that would take you to reach that goal. It's better than telling someone with 2,500 XRP to somehow teleport to 50,000, or someone with 50,000 somehow teleport to 200,000. It's the most logical process of where you are and where you need to be, not so much XRP you actually need. You also need a plan in place for when to buy, when to obviously take profit, and when to do nothing. But a large part of crypto in the portfolio is actually just sitting on your hands and doing nothing. And that's what we show in the private portfolio series we have on the channel. I showcase what I buy, what I sell, what I set limit orders to, what I sell orders to every other week on the channel. Now, in a previous video, we revealed everything: wins, losses, no cherry picking from January 2022 to January 2025, and the winners far outweighed the losers in a market that has been terrible for altcoins so far. And most people in alts have lost everything, right? This has been a 4-year downtrend against Bitcoin. Many people are giving up. What's coming next is going to change everything, right? Articles are coming out saying Bitcoin is soaring, altcoins are dead. These typically are near the bottom of things, just like the Bitcoin is dead articles in late 2022 near the FTX fiasco. But that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. Now, a quick overview: the case is ending. The ETFs are going to really change everything and how XRP moves going forward every single cycle. Ripple acquiring an exchange, NDAs being revealed, meeting coming up on July 3rd, potentially ending everything. And do you hold enough XRP? The answer to that question is not a specific amount because it's so specific to you on so many factors. Just look at the rich list. Do you agree with that thesis? Let me know down below. But that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.